One, two, one, two. Welcome again to another episode of Sneaks, Rounds, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So it's been a minute. Didn't put any product out last week, but that's okay. So some interesting things. I guess I was really taking in what happened, and obviously then the reaction to arguably one of the best Verzus we've ever seen. Now I know there's a lot of newer hip hop fans or fans that are just sort of not fan of artists from the '80s, but what Big Daddy Kane, which I've already did a whole episode on him, and today's feature artist, the legendary Blastmaster KRS-One, who is today's feature artist. No, he's not appearing, but I'm going to feature him anyways. What they were able to put together, the energy, the word MC is just that. Master of ceremonies is what the MC is supposed to do. And did they command a crowd like maybe we've never seen before on Versus? So, we'll get into it in a little bit. And who do I think won? Who do I think, who got the upper hand? I think there were some, definitely some great moments that happened throughout the production. So salute to both of the MCs. But I saw lots of things on Twitter, and Instagram prior to even this happening. And one of those is like, oh, why are these old guys performing? Who cares about hip hop artists in the '80s? And I was so taken aback. I felt such a way that we got to break down the Blastmaster, the teacher, the godfather, one of the great MCs of all generations when we talk about hip hop. One, Lawrence Chris Parker, otherwise known as KRS-One. So knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone is what KRS-One stands for. So for those that don't know, KRS-One grew up in New York. He spent time in both Brooklyn and the Bronx. We all know him from his time in the Bronx, heavily connected with the up and coming culture on many different levels called hip hop. He was a little bit involved in graffiti. He definitely, was I guess I would say a character, and really one that believed in himself that he was the best. Back in, I think it was about 85 or 86, he connected with someone from his block, one Scott LaRock, rest in peace. And they slowly started working on an album that really would be one of the albums that changed hip hop culture forever. And this is the legendary, the iconic Criminal Minded, that released in 1987. So KRS-One, his dad was Trini, his stepdad was Jamaican, his dad was Trini. And, so that's where a lot of his, call it yard slang, come from, sir, a yard slang, if you want to say it that way. He grew up and he left home at a really early age. He left home at about 16 years old. He started performing around the way at a shelter, and when he connected with Scott LaRock and his boy D-Nice, they really decided that they wanted to put out an album. They really wanted to touch and feel and be a part of this rap or hip hop movement. So they were shopping their demo all over. They were going to the big labels, the small labels, and hopefully they could find someone that was going to put them on. There was one group or producer that they thought they had a really good chance to score a deal, and that was the legendary Molly Mall from Queens, New York. And you listen to Nas or Noriega or anyone from the Juice Crew or Mobb Deep, we all believe that, or they all believe that Marley Marl was king at the time. And well, the interesting story where, you know, the legendary beef started between the Juice Crew and Boogie Down Productions, which is the group that D-Nice, Scott LaRock, and KRS-One came to be, is that when they gave the demo to Marley Marl, he did listen to it. He did give it a chance just to see what he thought. And, you know, they were talking about a lot of different things that he didn't like. They were, you know, really bigging up the Bronx. He was from Queens, and he's just like, he literally, I quote, or, you know, semi quote, "This is trash. There's no way I'm signing these guys. This is straight garbage." So this ultimately led to, you know, the crew being very, very offended. And ultimately, then the song started to come out back and forth. There was already a song called "The Bridge" that was done by Marley Marl. It was done by MC Shan, which was one of the great, or probably the top MC at the time with the Juice Crew. The Boogie Down Productions crew came out with their own song, which is the first single of Criminal Minded, South Bronx, and we all know South Bronx, South Bronx, South Bronx. And the song got a lot of buzz. They eventually got someone to sign them. And the rest is history. When we started to have that song played and we started to get a little noise. So when this song, again, as I was saying, once this song finally got a little buzz, and it was like, I think we got the album here. Here's the album. For those who are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. B-Boy was the record label, and then a Big East Entertainment Group was the ones that put it out and helped distribute it. So South Bronx got a little buzz. People were loving it, particularly, obviously, anyone from the Bronx, and particularly the South Bronx. MC Shan responded with a battle song called "Kill That Noise," and then the hammer dropped. And the hammer, as we know it, is called "The One and Only, The Bridge Is Over." This is an answer to the song "The Bridge" by MC Shan and Marley Marl. And that was the battle song of all battle song. You know, it even persisted beyond that. And Roxanne Shante even got called into the song, who was part of the Juice Crew. And the funny thing is, so this is the interesting tie between Kane and KRS-One, is that Shan was obviously destroyed because of this track, but Shante being called into it was very upset. She was pissed. And it's just like, so one of the best writers, probably the best writer at the time for the Juice Crew, was none other than Big Daddy Kane. Roxanne Shante asked him to help pen some lyrics to respond to KRS-One. And although he never mentioned his name, never said that he penned it, they all knew. They were all cruel. They were all cool. You know, they would hang out at Latin Quarter, and they would kick it and drink some Heineken or Hennessy and talk about things. But Big Daddy Kane is actually the one that penned the track. So totally unbelievable. But yeah, that's how, you know, really Boogie Down Production got its start. And I think, you know, we then think about the songs and the albums that came after that. But before we even got to the second album, which is By All Means Necessary, after all the buzz that we saw with Boogie Down Productions on this debut album, Scott LaRock was killed, breaking up a fight with some guy and D-Nice, which was from the crew. He got shot, you know, total tragedy. And yeah, I would tell you that Boogie Down Productions was never the same. We got all by you got all by all means necessary, Ghetto Music, Edutainment, and then that Live Worldwide album, and then Sex and Violence. And that was kind of the history of Boogie Down Productions. After that, an amazing project that KRS-One got involved in, which was the Heal Project. And that was really to help stop the violence. Obviously, KRS-One definitely impacted by the violence that happened in New York and what has happened with his boy Scott LaRock, who was tragically killed. And this came the infamous song Self-Destruction. We got like 25 rappers. We got from Moni Love to Queen Latifah to KRS-One to you name it, like anyone that was from the early 80s and the late 80s to early 90s was on that track. So pretty amazing track. But I would tell you that the record sales were not the most important thing to KRS-One, but definitely the street buzz kind of started to fade with KRS-One, and it just kind of took a step back, and then he hit us with the epic classic in 1993, Return of the Boom Bap. And big shout out to obviously Cool DJ Red Alert that's on it. But DJ Premier is the one that helped bring this thing to life. These unique tracks that are on this, and let me just read some: from Out of Here, from KRS-One to Attacks, to Mad Crew. Sound of the Police is probably the most recognizable KRS-One song of the 90s and is right up there with any of the Criminal Minded tracks. The P is Still Free, amongst others. So Black Cop is another one. So KRS-One totally reinvented himself with this album. A couple years later, comes back again, self-titled KRS-One. And this honestly may be the album that I go back to the most to play of KRS-One's entire catalog. When we think about KRS-One and, hey, the next album, a lot of people love that one. I Got Next, Step Into the World, totally dope album. But this is one that I gravitate to a lot. And let me just read some of these incredible tracks on. Probably my favorite non-Criminal Minded song is Rappers Are in Danger. Like the way he took the OC hook is totally dope. There's Oh Yeah, there's MCs Act Like They Don't Know, Build Your Skills. The one he's got with Busta Rhymes is my second favorite song on this album. Totally dope. And again, How Many MCs or Wannabe MCs is technically the song that he's got it with Mad Lion. The Truth is another dope one. The Automatic with Fat Joe. So this album is totally amazing. And then reality is only the truth. Rhymes equal actual life in the youth. Yeah, and then the drum kick is so dope. So yeah, that's my favorite KRS-One album. So yes, again, as I said, KRS-One has had 26 albums. There's no artist. I don't even know if there's a musical artist out in, not even forget about the hip hop genre, but outside hip hop that's had 26 albums. He would be up there with the best of the best when it comes to, quality production. Now, not everyone says they love those albums. I can tell you that my top 5 KRS-One albums would easily be Criminal Minded, definitely self-titled album, Edutainment, Edutainment, definitely Return of the Boom Bap is part of that, and the self-titled album, so that give me 5. So KRS-One, totally dope MC, and recently he challenged anyone. Someone got him on the mic, and we've been going through artists after who's left, who would we love to see. And I know KRS-One he talks a lot of smack, like hella smack. And KRS-One said there's no one that is in hip hop that could dance with KRS-One in a Versus. But he gives Nas a lot of respect. So did we think we're gonna see Nas I think there's some mutual respect. I think Nas definitely knows that he learned a lot from KRS-One, but it was interesting. Are we going to get Nas and KRS-One as a versus? Well, they're not the same era. Nas was definitely an era after, and we could think of some other MCs that we'd love to see in a versus with Nas. So we needed someone from his era. Kool Rap doesn't have as many records to kind of go against him. We start thinking about, could Rakim do it? Could LL do it? But one that is never bowed down from any challenge is the smooth operator, Big Daddy Kane. So Kane and KRS-One got into the ring on a versus not too long ago. It's probably about a week ago now. And man, was it an event? Is it the most highest viewed versus? No, but I'm telling you, those that were in the chat were absolutely loving it. From, again, smooth operator to step into your world to, seeing Buckshot come out, Mad Lion came out, Scrap Lover came out. Like, it was totally epic. It was unbelievable to see the energy that they put into it. But they did the track that I needed to see from Kane. We got Raw, the remix. We got Ain't No Half Stepping On, but I needed the symphony, and I got the symphony. The only down point and downfall of that is, and I would love to hear the backstory why, but Kool Rap, which has second best verse on that whole song, just didn't decline to be on verses. Don't know what it is. But anyways, the song was still dope, and having Master Ace out there and Craig G was totally amazing. We got DOS Effects came out. We had one of the members of Channel Live to come out to spark Madism. So it was totally dope. So who won? KRS-One was definitely, both were in their element. I think KRS was like a little loud on the mic. Kane seemed to be moving the crowd to me a little bit more. He was just flawless. I definitely think back and forth they were going, hit for hit. Kane had to pull a couple tricks out his sleeves and pull Platinum Plus and do that verse that he did with the late Big L. KRS-One really stuck to his, his featured catalog, except for when he went when he went to do Madism. When I saw Buckshot come out, I was really hoping we'd get robots, but I think all in all, this easily one, you could call it draw. If I had to choose one, I would tell you that I would have chosen Kane. Kane was a little smoother. He definitely captured a different, like he even did like a New Jack flow for the new generation of MCs, which was totally dope. I don't even think Kane could rap like that. I didn't think he could take those cadence and like lyrically he is as sharp as ever. So salute to both the legends. I would say if I had to choose, Kane by a nose, but I easily would, for argumentative sake, I would just call it a draw. So that is definitely one of my favorite verses that I've ever seen. I think that's right up there. Probably my favorite though would be Red and Meth. I would also say Primo and RZA would definitely be in the conversation, and Ghost and Ray would also be in the conversation. But if I were just to give you the top four, that would be my top four. You could easily go, figure out another one. But that would be my top four, hands down. Those are the ones I gravitate to and I've watched before. So watch many more times. So let me, as I wrap up this on the great KRS-One, I will take you back to probably it's like 97. So KRS-One is doing a tour, but it's not just the production or to celebrate an album. Now, step into a world that album had just that just came out on the I Got Next album. I think I didn't reference it correctly earlier, but yes, I Got Next was that third solo album, and it was dope. Like, we had Angie Martinez and Redman on it. Obviously, the MC is probably the dopest track that's on there, but he was also supporting what was called, and is now open. KRS-One is obviously known as the teacher. He would support the building and the creation of what's called the Temple of Hip Hop. So he was spreading awareness, talking to people, letting people know about it. So he was on literally an East Coast tour, and he came to Toronto. So way back then, I think there was like, it was before MSN Messenger, and I know that totally dated myself just now, but with this, he was doing a show and a speech. So one of my boys from school, Jeff Reynolds, salute Jeff, was connected with some guy in Toronto that got on and was able to volunteer with the Temple of Hip Hop. So I thought it was totally dope when Jeff told me. And it's like, Lionel, you want to volunteer? It's like, hell yeah. It's like, but do you think we'll meet KRS-One? For real? Do you think? It's like, well, I don't know. We're just volunteering, whatever. So anyway, our job was that night, pass out flyers, spread awareness. You could go check it out on the internet and all that type of stuff. And so that was that. So, we go down there. It's, I want to tell you that it was at the Opera House, where they're talking, and KRS-One comes out, totally amazed, like he's not performing, he's just speaking, talk about the Temple of Hip Hop and how we need to get our knowledge and all of that type of stuff. So after the speech is over, and it probably went on for like an hour, I think there was a panel up there, and then things kind of disperse, and then one of the guys, this guy rolls up on the three of us who were standing outside, and he says, yo, what you guys doing now? You guys want to go get something to eat? And I was like, yeah, well, it's like, we got school in the morning. Like, I'm in college at this point. And it's like, yeah, KRS-One, sorry, let me rephrase. KRS-One wants to go get something to eat. You guys down? I was like, what? KRS-One wants to go eat dinner with us? All of us? Let's go, wherever. So we end up going to this Chinese restaurant. I think it was in, not far from where I live now, just off East Girard. I can almost think of the place. So we sit down, table of 10, and then like I didn't see him roll in right away, but then all of a sudden, KRS-One's at the table. He is like, honestly, he felt like 6'1", He is like, I never knew he was that tall. He is like 6'5", maybe 6'4", but an imposing figure. So he sits down, talks to us. And when I say KRS taught to us, like, we didn't ask questions. KRS-One just talked for an hour, through all the way through dinner. It didn't get really personal. It was more about KRS-One than anything else, and him just preaching. But it was like once in a lifetime to say that you had dinner with KRS-One. So again, totally dope. And then at the end of dinner, tells me and tells us that, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Could you pass out a few more flyers and you guys get to see my show? Now, we didn't buy tickets to the show. We were planning to, but ever since this Temple of Hip Hop thing, we just like, oh, maybe this is good enough. We just get to see him not perform. But anyways, we got a chance to go to the show after passing out some more flyers that day. Crazy show. Like, the energy was the first and only time I've ever got to see KRS-One until, what was the big show? Rock the Bells. Rock the Bells 2, way over at the airport back in 2008 is the second time I saw him with the headliners were Nas and Tribe Called Quest. So bananas. But he by himself was incredible, totally dope. And I never will forget the day that I got to meet KRS-One and have dinner with him. Chinese food at that. So thank you again, everyone, for listening to my stories and talking about hip hop. So peace, love, and much respect to all of you. Thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.